All right, we're about to get started here, folks. We had a little microphone issue. Hopefully that got resolved. But I would like to say good evening and welcome to the Candidate Debate Forum for Alderman candidates for the great town of White Pine. I would like to extend a warm welcome and thank you to both the candidates and the audience here tonight. I would also like to thank members of the community who took the time to submit the questions that I will ask each of the candidates this evening. My name is DJ Deeb, and I am an assistant professor of history and political science at Walters State Community College. I was asked to facilitate and moderate the forum this evening as I am not a resident of White Pine and I live out of county. I want to begin by taking this opportunity to review the rules and format for tonight's debate. The format for the debate forum is as follows. There will be an introduction and format overview for the audience by the moderator, which is what I am doing now. Then opening statements will be afforded to each candidate, and they will each have 2 minutes to speak. The order was just determined by lot draw. Then questions will be posed to each candidate from the moderator that were received by members of the community by email. Each candidate will have 1 minute to respond. I will rotate the order of questions and asking them. Each candidate will then have the opportunity to pose up to one question for each of the other candidates. Originally we were looking at 2, but I think with 3 I'm going to ask 1. However, if something else comes up, we'll remain a little flexible. There will be 1 minute per candidate to respond. Finally, closing statements of 2 minutes will be allotted to each of the candidates. The order will be determined by, or was just determined, by a lot draw. After closing statements, I will review the voting information and wrap up the forum for the evening. The rules for this debate forum are as follows. By attending this evening, all candidates participating in this forum agree to the rules and format of the debate, which were made available to each of them in advance and published on the Town of White Pine website. Candidates agree to refrain from personal attacks on each other. The moderator reserves the right to cut off candidates from speaking if this happens. The moderator will ask each of the candidates the same questions from the community, and these questions are not known to the candidates in advance of the forum. Questions from the audience that were not submitted ahead of time will not be entertained this evening. Members of the audience agree to refrain from applause until the end of the forum in order to give each candidate sufficient time to respond to the audience questions. If any member of the audience is unruly, he or she will be asked to leave the forum debate. The moderator at his discretion can permit candidates to respond to statements made by other candidates if appropriate. These responses, if awarded, will be for 30 seconds at a time. We can agree to disagree, but let us remember that the people on this stage are members of the community who are taking time away from their families and other obligations to devote time to serve the community. So let's be respectful. And I know this audience will be, and you were in the last forum. So thank you all, and I will now begin with the opening statements, again determined by lot draw. So, since I just wrote down the order, I gotta double check here who's going first. So, on the opening statements, winning the lot draw, who gets to go first is Mr. Stump. So the floor is yours for opening statements.
Thank you. I appreciate everybody for coming out. This is a pretty historic thing, I think, in White Pine. I don't know that we've ever had a debate like this, so it's actually pretty cool to be a part of it. It's been my genuine honor to have served the town. I've been on the council now for almost 8 years, and we've seen a lot of good progress come through here. We've seen a lot of difficult challenges come through here, but I feel like that we have really done a lot of great growth in the town, a lot of positive things. I think, I've kind of always felt like my role on the council has always been to really look at things from a very factual and logical perspective, and to bring a sense of common sense into how we discuss things and approach things. The time commitment that I've given to this position, I would think now should be able to speak for itself. I really do believe actions speak louder than words, and I've been able to, I feel like, do a good job on this council. I think one of the biggest benefits of having me in this position is the fact that, you know, I don't bring any baggage into every vote that I make. I don't work in White Pine, I work in Oak Ridge, so I don't draw my salary from here, I don't earn my living here. I don't own any businesses here, I don't own any rental properties here, so basically, there's zero outside influence on my vote. I vote for what I truly feel like is best for the town. I don't have to worry about my boss getting mad at me or me losing my job or anything like that. I vote for what I feel is best for the town, and the only retribution is you don't vote me in for another term. So I typically try to keep emotion out of it, look at it from a very logical perspective, and just make informed decisions on what I feel is best for the town without any outside influence. So thank you guys for your time, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Stump. All right, at this point, I will ask Ms. Walker for her opening statement.
Thank you all very much for being here. I would just like to say, I've lived in this town for 15 years now. My husband's on the fire department. He is a reserve officer with Jefferson County, so I am on the fast track for the fire and the EMS and the police. My son and husband both work in this town. My grandkids go to school here. I'm fairly rooted in this town now. The reason I wanted to run is because I don't want to be an armchair quarterback anymore. And what I mean by that is, you know, on Sunday, we can sit there all day long and talk about, well, if I was the coach, I would have done this, I would have done this. I want to try to help the community instead of just, you know, doing lip service and saying, well, you know, if I ran, I would do this. I want to be a servant for the people and of the town. My door will always be open with questions. And same as Mr. Stump, I don't draw a check from here. I don't work in this town. I would appreciate your vote.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Opening statement, Ms. Arwood, would you like to
Thank you.
give yours?
First of all, I'd like to thank you all for coming out. I appreciate everybody's support. I'm running for Alderman. I had no intention of doing this, I'm just gonna be honest with you. But I've had so many citizens of this town come to me and ask me to do this. I went home and asked my husband about it. He said, that's your choice. So I prayed about it. So I think I'm in to do this. And if I get elected, I will do my best. I will be a voice for each and every citizen in this town. I will listen to you, and I will bring it in front of everyone, try to make the right choices for this town. I have seen a lot of progress in this town. I was born and raised here. I've lived here for 63 and a half years. I got a husband named Bo. He's had a company. They were in business for like 50, 60 years. I got a great son, Josh, and a daughter-in-law, Lisa. I got 2 great-grandchildren, Josh and Lisa. I work at Easy and Markets, where everybody probably knows me from. I've been there almost 19 years. And I attend White Pine Free Will Baptist Church. Main thing is I am a Christian. I stand up for what I believe in.
Thank you, Ms. Arwood. So some of the questions that I received from the community are very similar to the questions, and actually many of them the same as the questions that I received for the mayoral forum that was earlier, because they were addressed to all the candidates. So my first question, and this goes to Mr. Stump first in the rotation. What do you feel are the top 2 concerns or issues facing White Pine, and what are your plans to address these issues?
Well, I think you heard from the mayor debate, you know, the infrastructure is obviously that's one of the biggest concerns, especially, you know, once we were levied with the consent order. I do feel like that we've tackled that the best that we can. We are a small town, we don't have unlimited resources. You know, we have a budget that we try to operate within, We were successful in getting grant money and county money to be able to help support a lot of that. But it is an issue, and with any town, I mean, Knoxville's going through something very similar. Infrastructure only lasts so long, those sewage pipes are not designed to last forever. But I think one of the biggest things that we need to do that we've never been great at is we need a 4 to 5, maybe even out to a 10-year preventative maintenance plan, not just for our infrastructure, but for our equipment. Our vehicles, our firefighting gear, things like that, where we're not just deciding from year to year with what's in our budget, this is what we can buy, or, the department heads come and say, hey, I need this piece of equipment. We need a 5-year plan put out for that. Inventory our equipment, give them property numbers, know what schedule's coming, and that way we can go ahead and prepare for that for the long term, and that will really help to help us financially to maintain our budget and everything like that. So that's one thing I would really like to see if I get reelected, is to really work on a more long-term plan.
Thank you, Mr. Stump. Okay, Ms. Walker.
Again, the infrastructure with the water and the sewer, the subdivision, that's just horrible. It's a horrible issue. And growth. I feel like we need more growth in town, at the exits primarily. Keep downtown, but we do need some more tax dollars coming in so that our taxes aren't as high. We can give some of that to the businesses that come in instead of, the citizens. We've had quite a lot of, things go up, just like the trash and that type of thing. I'm trying to figure out, how it went up so high so quickly. So I think things like that need to be looked at as well.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Ms. Arwood.
Well, I'm like everyone else, the main thing is, I think it's the water and the sewer. That is a big issue here, and that really needs to be taken care of. And I think we need to bring more businesses in. I'm just like everybody else, we need more things here for our tax money. And I think we need to be taking care of our police and our fire department, our city employees. They dedicate their life in this, and I think we need to help them, whatever they need. We need to try to make a way that we can do it for them. If they need any kind of equipment or whatever, we need to make a way for that.
All right, thank you, Ms. Arwood. So the next question is, it concerns what all of you have just talked about in your opening, or in that last question, and it has to do with how will you address the concerns about the drinking water quality in White Pine? And I'm going to ask that question first to Ms. Walker.
The drinking water in White Pine, from the tests that we have some of the best water around. The problem is the lime, which in East Tennessee, the water comes through limestone, hence the lime. But from all the testing that we have done, our water is good water, it's just hard water. I don't know what else we could do, considering primarily it's, it's well water. That's just how it is as far as the lime. It's just the area itself, it's where it comes through, the limestone.
All right, thank you, Ms. Walker. Ms. Arwood, would you like to address that question about water quality?
I'm about the same with everybody else, how they answered the question. That's about all I got to say about it.
All right, thank you. Mr. Stump?
Yeah, so we are currently working on some new, engineering design for new storage tanks for our water system. I think that's important too, because that goes back to our infrastructure thing. Our storage tanks are getting age on them. So that will ultimately help improve. A lot of one thing that I don't even think the mayor's discussed or addressed, they focus more on the water quality, is the water pricing. I don't think that was part of the question, but was never addressed. we have depreciation values that are put on our infrastructure too, that we don't really have a lot of control over. But what we could do was spread that out over a certain amount of years. So it was either incremental increases or do it all at once. And so, that was the result of seeing, those increases over time. The good thing is that's always gonna be there, but the main chunk of that has already been addressed and taken care of. So hopefully, you know, it's stabilized out, but I do agree. I mean, I'm not just a alderman here, I'm a citizen here. I pay bills just like everybody else, and when you know, the water bill hurts every month, and kind of tired of seeing that go up myself. So, but as far as the quality, as everybody said, there's only so much that we can do to address that, but our testing shows that our water is good, and I think our rates compared to our neighboring towns is still very competitive.
Thank you, Mr. Stump. All right, the next question is, there is an old building on Main Street that's falling down. Not only is it an eyesore, but it seems to be a danger to the community. Do you have any plans to tear it down? And I'll ask this question first to Ms. Ari.
That's something that we'd have to get together with the, like they said, with the owners that own it, and then have a vote on it or something. I've seen a lot of these old buildings. I can remember a lot of these old buildings that's already gone. You know, cause I've lived here all my life, you know, and it's sad to see them go, but we don't want nobody to get hurt, or we want to make the town be neat and clean, you know.
All right, thank you. Ms. Walker?
Well, I agree. I mean, the building is a very bad eyesore when you're trying to go downtown. I mean, that's what we've all spoke about is, you know, moving all of our growth out to the exits and keeping the downtown, a downtown feel. And with a building that's falling in on itself, it is just a huge eyesore. Of course, I couldn't do anything. I mean, it would be a vote from the council itself, from the alderman and the mayor as well as the owner of the building. But I do believe that building probably should come down. I hate to do that because I know the historic value, you know, of all of downtown, but at this point, it is just, it's not safe.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Mr. Strong, sorry, Mr. Stump.
You combine mine and Ms. Strong's name together there, didn't you?
I'm looking at the name.
Ms. Strong's not here tonight, but, I've actually probably been one of the most vocal council members on that building, since it was determined that it was not salvageable. I've talked to Chief Cotter on this several times. I've been really concerned about it. You know, D&D of buildings has been part of what I've done in the past. You know, I've questioned if there was asbestos-laden contamination concerns with the building, how they were going to tear it down. But one thing that I've really pressed on and never really got a clear answer to was, I posed to our general counsel that's here, you know, what is our ability to levy fines against that property owner? Since it is to me, it's a public safety concern. And I thought that being able to levy some significant fines might give them the motivation to make a decision on what to do with that building. I think Chief Cotter's working on some of that now. We talked about it, matter of fact, at the last council meeting. So progress is being made on it, but you know, my view on it is if we can find a pathway to find that property owner significantly until they make a decision on what to do with that building, but it needs to come down as a means of public safety.
All right, thank you, Mr. Stump. The next question is, it's taken at least a couple of decades of neglect for the sewer system to get in such deplorable condition. Aside from adhering to the TDEC moratorium, what is your plan to replace current infrastructure to help with both sewer issues and new businesses? And I'll ask this question to Mr. Stump first.
Yeah. So I think you guys have heard enough now, but the consent order is really gonna force our hand into pushing that, but it's also been helpful in the fact that it's helped us secure some of those grant funds that Mayor Taylor was talking about earlier. But again, I'll look back to my previous answer. We need a 5+ year plan on preventative maintenance schedules and adhering to that schedule once we set it, and that includes infrastructure. You heard Mayor Warren talk about, you know, the cracked pipes and the infiltration that you get. You know, if you stay on top of that, you do regular cammering of your systems, you can find out where those areas are, put them on the GIS system, map them out, and know, okay, next year we have to tackle this side of town or this area of town to go in and do repairs. And if you try to stay out ahead of that, then you don't get in this position. But you're right, this is not something that happened over the past 4 years or even 8 years. This takes decades for this to happen. But setting out that preventative maintenance plan is really the only way you're gonna be able to stay out ahead of it, so.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Stump. I'd like to pose the same question to Ms. Arwood.
Well, everybody said about the same thing. I think we just all need to come together and work on it and try to get grants and get this worked out. That's our main thing, is our water and our sewer. That's a big issue here in this town, and we need to, there's something else I think we need to be doing. It's not out of the question that you're asking me, but I think we need a better ordinance in this town, clean up town. You come on the side of town that I live on Walnut Street, there's a lot of places that's growed up, and I mean, it's just a mess. It's just like rats and stuff, sometimes certain parts of the year, but it's just real dirty and nasty. You know, I like to see our whole community nice and clean, not just parts of it. The whole town needs to be taken care of. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. So Ms. Walker, would you like to respond to that?
Well, I agree, it has taken decades for it to get this bad, and it'll take a while to fix it. It's not something that can be fixed overnight, and there's no quick fix for it. There has to be, you know, several items put in place. There has to be, you know, the pipes have to be fixed, the manhole covers. I mean, we've talked about it through the entire night. I do agree that we do need some preventative maintenance on the different things. My only issue is when in 4 years, when a different mayor and or alderman come in, how it would be changed. You know, well, let's put this on the back burner and let's move up with this. So it has, I feel like it has to be something, preventative maintenance thing that has to be put in place that really can't be changed. That the thing that we're supposed to work on next is what we do in fact work on, regardless of who's in office.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, the next question is, concerns Parks and Recreation. Getting grants for Parks and Recreation seems to be low-hanging fruit, and it's needed for White Pine. Will you commit to getting a professional grant writer, perhaps on commission basis, to obtain grants for Parks and Recreation? And this question goes first to Ms. Walker.
I'm not opposed to it, by any means. I do feel like we need more Parks and Recreation, more recreation definitely. Our kids have to go out of town to play ball. I mean, you know, we need our I heard we're gonna have T-ball again starting next year. That's fantastic. You know, our kids get to stay in our town. The thing with that too, though, is we're gonna have to have the public's support on it, parent support as well, not just, you know, now we have a Parks and Recs guy, now we have a T-ball team, so, you know, we have to have parent support as well. It's not just something that, we can do here over, you know, by ourselves. It has to be an entire town thing. I am excited to see the Parks and Recs come back up, and things for our children to do here. But as far as a grant writer, I'm not opposed to that at all.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Stump, would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, so I'm gonna sway away from my normal platform here and speak a little more emotionally on this topic. Parks and Rec in this area has been something that we've benefited from. My son is sitting out here in the audience right now. He played junior pro basketball the whole time that we've been here, since he's been big enough to dribble a basketball. Matter of fact, we played against Mayor Warren several times down there during that time. He also played the Little League football here. That's where he learned to play football from folks like Timmy Townsend, you know, and now I look at him, he's got 3 college offers to go play football. He's a senior in high school this year. That would have never come had it not been for what we started right here in White Pine. I think hiring Nick getting a full-time Parks and Rec director was something that has been a huge success, something that I'd like to think I had a hand in helping getting that done. But having somebody dedicated to that, to go out and work to try to get some of that brought back that we've lost. And I think from what I've heard, Nick's doing a fantastic job. And we have a Parks and Rec committee that's getting stood back up now that we hadn't had in a long time, and one of our aldermen is leading that effort too. So it's been really good.
Thank you, Mr. Stump. And would Ms. Arwood like to respond to that?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure,
again?
absolutely. Getting grants for parks and recreation seems to be low-hanging fruit and is needed for White Pine. Will you commit to getting a professional grant writer, perhaps on a commission basis, to obtain grants for parks and recreation?
Okay, I don't have no problems trying to get grants. I'm like everyone else, I'm glad to see the sports coming back, like the junior pro. And I think they're getting T-ball back.
Mhm.
And some other sports, I'm glad to see that. Our kids need things to do in this town. Because a lot of kids is getting out here and getting straight, they're out here getting on drugs and all that. They need to, and our parents and their family needs to support these kids. We do need a recreation. I'm glad Nick has took this position on, you know, because the kids really need things to do here in this town.
Can I make a
Would you like to add
request for
something?
a rebuttal there? I just want to add on to what Ms. Walker said. There's only so much that the town can do in that perspective. So if people watching online, people sitting in here, it takes the parents a lot to help. You know, we don't have an endless pot of money to supply some of this stuff. So people to volunteer, people to come and coach. You know, your brother, I don't know how many years he coached down there in junior pro. He was my son's coach, won 2 championships with Eric Schaefer, a great guy. But it takes people like that to dedicate their time if these things are gonna be successful and we keep them here in the town. When people quit caring, that's when it goes away.
Thank you,
Yeah, the
Mr.
Parks and
Stump. Would
Recs
you like
can
to add, Ms. Walker?
The Parks and Recs guy can do whatever he does, but if we don't have the parent support behind our children, it's not gonna matter.
Absolutely.
Right.
So,
All right, Ms. Arwood, did you want to add anything to that?
They've said it all, I agree with them.
All right, thank you. Moving on to the next question, and this will go to Ms. Arwood first. For years, stormwater has entered and flooded the city sewer lines on Sheila and Suzanne Streets, flooding the park and people's homes with any significant rain. Residents have pleaded for years for the city to remedy this situation with zero success. The new sewer bypass has no effect on stormwater. So please tell me, what is the city specifically doing to stop the massive amounts of stormwater from entering the sewer system and flooding homes?
So all this is new to me. I do know that we have a lot of sewer problems, a lot of flooding. And there's even a lot of water that stands up on my side of town, down there on Walnut Street, and they're close to Food City, in front of Miss Lincoln's house a lot, and where they put that other subdivision in, back behind my house over on Lincoln Street. That's just something we're all gonna have to come together and work on it. Cause all this is new to me, but I'm willing to learn this, and I'm willing to give my all, and I wanna be a voice for all the citizens of White Pine. And I'll do my best.
Thank you. Ms. Walker, did you want me to repeat it, or?
no, but nothing. Honestly, I feel like we're beating a dead horse. We've talked about it and talked about it and talked about it. Again, it's taken decades for it to get this bad. It's not gonna be fixed overnight. We were told we have the funds in place now, so we need to get it bid out and get it going.
Thank you. And Mr. Stump?
Yeah, there's been a tremendous amount of work put in by our utility guys, even the ones that are currently here and the ones that were here before, to get the consent order thing kicked off. I feel like we've made good progress on it, and I think there is a clear path forward, to grow out of those areas, or we'll just see more, overflow issues here in the lower lying areas of the town. But the work that's being done under the consent order and the funds that we've got, some of that stuff done, I'm hopeful, you know, it won't be a long drawn out fix, that it'll be fairly quickly, we'll start reaping some benefits from it.
Thank you, Mr. Stump. And that's all the questions that I have received emailed to me from members of the community. So at this point, we're gonna move into the next section of the forum, and I'm gonna ask the questions I'm gonna ask the candidates if they have questions to ask each other, and give each candidate an opportunity to respond to the questions. So I'll first ask Mr. Stump if he has a question for the other two candidates.
You know, I thought before we came in here, if that question came up, what questions I would pose. I think we all pretty much have answered the questions to know where we stand on our policies and everything, so I don't really have any follow-up questions for them. No.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Walker?
I'm
You got-
golden. Don't have any questions.
This is easy. All right, Ms. Arwood?
I don't have any questions. I
Okay.
just want us all to come together and work together, because this is just my hometown, and I love it, you know, and I just wanna be here for anybody that needs me in any way, and I am a voice for the citizens here. I just want us all to come together and work together.
Thank you. So now, we will finish up with closing statements, also determined this evening by a lock draw. And in the closing statements, each of these fine candidates will have up to 2 minutes to present their closing arguments and anything they would like the voters to know. So, based on the lot draw, I will begin first with a closing statement from Ms. Walker.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you guys for coming out. Thank you for allowing us to do this. If I'm elected, I'm the type of person, a lot of you all know this already, I'm not a yes person. That's just not who I am. I don't have my own agenda. And honestly, if there is something that I personally don't feel like needs to be done, but it's best for our town, that's the way I'm gonna go. You can't make everybody happy, and I get that, but you can make as many as you can happy. I feel like that I would like to be a servant for the town, for the people, and give my time and help any way possible. And I feel like this is the way to do it. Again, like I said before, I'm tired of the armback quarterback stuff, or armchair quarterback stuff, you know, sitting back and saying, well, I would have done this different. Well, if you want to do something different, do it. You know, and that's why I threw my hat in the ring for this, to, you know, try to help our town in any way possible. And if y'all vote for me, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Closing statement will go next to Mr. Stump.
All right, so I had a really long closing statement written out, and I'm not gonna read any of this. No, I'm not going to. Again, I'm gonna go off emotion here, which is unusual for me, but we moved into this town 18 years ago. Me and my wife have been married a little over a year and a half, pregnant with my son. We were trying to find our first home, you know, our first ever home. And we found this little house in White Pine. I never knew anything about White Pine. I'd probably only been here 2 or 3 times in my life. We had no idea that this is where we were going to stay. Many of you who know me know I work in Oak Ridge. So I elect to get in my vehicle and spend about 4 hours a day on the road just so I can continue to live here in this town. I have the means to move closer if I want to. I can have the means to move wherever I want to in this country. But I choose to stay right here in White Pine. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the people. I don't know if it's the small town vibes, the community. But we love it here. I have no plans in leaving anytime soon. Even if I don't get reelected, you're not gonna run me out of town. I'm still gonna be here. I can't think of anywhere else I'd rather be. White Pine is a special place. And, if I'm elected, I'll fight to keep it special. You know, it's near and dear to my heart. So, biggest thing, go vote. Whatever you do, okay? One of the things about living in the United States is it's a democracy and we get to choose our leaders, and not very many people have that right. And we have a huge presidential election coming up this year, probably the biggest we've ever had, most important. So whatever you do, no matter who you vote for, go to the polls, early voting, voting on election day, and vote, because you have no right to complain about anything that happens in this country if you don't put your vote out there,
Absolutely.
okay? But I appreciate the time, I appreciate this debate, the forum has been great, the flow's been great, and everybody's been very respectful, and I appreciate that, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stump. And last but not least, Ms. Arwood, would you like to present your closing statement?
First of all, I'd like to thank you all for coming out, for supporting each and every one that's took part here. And if I'm elected, I will do my best when I go in. I will be the voice for each and every one. I know we won't be able to do everything that you might want us to do, but I will try my best to make the right decisions when I vote on something. Cause I've lived here all my life, I've been here like 64 years. I have really seen this town grow a lot. You know, there's a lot of progress and I like to see it grow more. Cause we're nothing but a big family, and that's what we need to stay, a big family. We need to be there for each other, love one another, support each other, be there for one another for anything. And that's all I gotta say, just everybody go vote.
Thank you. At this point, I would just like to again thank the candidates in attendance tonight and the members of the audience for attending and participating. I think you heard it here in the closing statements that East Tennessee is like a big family. It's the reason I moved down here from the north 3.5 years ago. And being able to facilitate this evening has certainly been an honor and a pleasure. You have some fine candidates here in White Pine to choose from. And to echo what has been said here tonight, I would like to remind the residents of White Pine to please vote on Tuesday, November 5th, or during early voting, which begins here on Wednesday, October 16th. Thank you all. You've been a super audience. Have a good night.